Episode number 244, How to Use Switcher Studio with Marc Gawith. Let's do it.
This is the definitive podcast for helping you plan, create, and execute dynamic worship experiences at your church. Useful, practical content in the areas of production, worship, communications, first impressions, and more. This is Making Sunday Happen.
Well, hey guys, welcome to Making Sunday Happen. Thanks so much for being here. Today I'm really excited because my guest today is Marc Gawith from Switcher Studio. Now, Switcher Studio is basically an entire switcher in your pocket. Now, this is a mobile solution to connect 9 different sources and live switch those sources from your iPhone or your iPad. Now, you can hook up cameras, a computer with your presentation software like ProPresenter or MediaShout, or other inputs to create your live worship experience on the fly. And you can also use Switcher Studio to record all of your inputs for editing later. Now, I wanted Marc on the podcast to walk through how you can use Switcher Studio at your church for your worship experience or for your remote shoots if you're going somewhere mobile. Let's say you're in the middle of a pandemic and you need to do a worship experience from your pastor's living room, just spitballing, just something like that. Something remote in someone's house or on a field shoot of some kind, Switcher Studio is a great software for you to check out. Now, Marc and I walked through all the features and benefits of Switcher, how it works, and some creative things that you can do with the software. I also hit Marc with some things that Switcher can't or it wasn't designed to do so that you can know exactly if Switcher Studio is a really good fit for your church. Now, we'll jump right into my interview with Marc right after a word from our sponsor this week, which is Secure Give. So a lot of churches have suffered financially right now. Your church might be one of those. And if you're one of those churches, especially, I want to recommend my friends at Secure Give. The guys give software, strategy, and resources so that you can grow your giving. So it's a little bit of an investment so that you can grow your giving with your congregation. I want you to visit them online at securegive.com to learn more. I want you to check out this video, and then we'll jump right in to my interview with Marc Gawith at Switcher Studio. Check this out.
June the 6th, 2004. It was 5:45 in the morning when the Lord woke me up. And the Lord prompted me and said, walk through the doors that I will open.
Since the first century church, God has been equipping His people for the gospel to be advanced, so that people of every nation would be drawn to Him. Methods have evolved through the centuries, but the power of the message is unchanged. In the 21st century, we have been at the forefront of church innovation, leading a giving revival.
I believe that we're living in the greatest days of church history, and you and I have an opportunity to be a part of something that's going to impact the generations to come.
From our first church over a decade ago to the thousands that we serve today, we believe every donor should be equipped with the resources to give in the moment.
People want to give to your church. It's our job to remove the barriers.
Hey guys, today I welcome Marc Gawith, the Vice President of Sales and Business Development at Switcher Studio. Switcher Studio is a great tool that lets you capture and edit video from multiple camera angles. It's like a switcher in your pocket. So I'm really excited to talk to Marc about that. Marc, welcome to the podcast, man. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Carl. Appreciate it.
Man, I love your COVID-19 background. Got your Dr. Seuss going on in the background there. Killing
Yeah. Well, I used to have my office upstairs in my house. During COVID, we kind of all get a little stir crazy. We started doing crazy things. So we decided that we were going to completely rearrange our house, move bedrooms, offices, etc. So I'm kind of in the middle of a move here, but had to at least get my computer and monitor and everything set up. And so we saw some of my kids, play stuff behind me. So
Yeah.
hopefully it gets all sorted out this weekend.
Well, man, now's the time to do it. Some people have more time on their hands and some people are extra busy. So it kind of really depends on your line of work.
Yeah.
Well, man, thank you so much for hanging out. Tell me a little bit about yourself and Switcher Studio, how it started, and a little bit about you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit about me. I am a husband and a father of two. I have two little ones, a 4-year-old son and a 2-year-old daughter that keep me very, very busy outside of work, as I'm sure any of you listeners can imagine with kids, especially right now with everything that we have going on. It's been hectic, and it's been hectic for everyone. But I originally got kind of connected into live streaming about 5 or so years ago. I was working for a previous company that owned the new domain extension. So alternatives to .com, one of those domain names happened to be .live. And, .live was very, very popular with the live streaming community. I knew nothing about live streaming at that point, and kind of got really immersed in it. Ultimately kind of started to understand who the players were, which is what led me to Switcher Studio. I started using the product, first and foremost. And then a little over 2 years ago in January of 2018, I came on full time to help implement a outbound, sales strategy, build out an enterprise product offering to kind of start to work with larger brands, larger companies outside of like an individual creator. Over the last 2+ years, we've seen a lot of craziness with Switcher and growth. And one of the areas that we are really, really focused on and where we really think we can help is churches, houses of worship. Before COVID happened, we had made an effort to really start to understand what churches need, what they're trying to do, with connecting with their members, their local community, getting them a little bit more engaged, from a technological perspective. And now with COVID, we've seen just an explosion of growth in that area because churches are being forced to not have in-person services, but try to figure something out externally. So it's been pretty lucrative for us over the last month plus. Now the challenge becomes keeping those customers, making sure that they understand the product, getting the full benefit of it, etc. So we've been very, very, very busy.
Sure.
As I tell everyone, it's drinking from a fire hose. So it's kind of how I equate it.
Yeah, I'm sure. So for those who don't know about the product, I'd love to get into it. Tell me what it is, kind of a bird's eye view. What is Switcher Studio?
Yeah, absolutely. So the easiest way to describe Switcher Studio is it's a video production studio in your pocket. If anyone that's familiar with video production, everything that goes into doing a multi-camera production. So if you've ever gone to a golf tournament, Golf Channel doing a production, they've got semi-trailers full of production gear and routing, and I mean it literally is a crazy over-the-top production. And what we've tried to do is we've tried to take all of that technology and boil it down and put it in an application that allows our users to create a multi-camera broadcast where those cameras are either local or remote, and give them the ability to put graphics on screen, logos, photos, pre-recorded videos, and just create a full end-to-end production using nothing but an iPad or an iPhone.
That's incredible, man. I know our team was looking at it as we were kind of prepping for our time together, and man, it's really a great solution for churches in particular. So tell me how churches are implementing the product and using it week in, week out.
Yeah, absolutely. So prior to COVID, we've seen churches, obviously, in your sanctuary or in the four walls of your church building, wherever you have church, if you will, setting up a couple cameras. So with Switcher, we have two different ways to connect cameras. One way is connecting multiple iOS devices over the same wireless network. So there's no cords to run, there's no wires. Basically put a couple of phones on a tripod, connect them to the same network, and they're wirelessly sending that video back to your central production switcher. So those churches would set up maybe 2-3 camera angles, perspectives. Maybe in the sound booth, they would have their iPad as their kind of production switcher, getting audio feeds from the soundboard into switcher. So they've got the professional audio and basically producing their production, if you will. That could be live streamed, that could just be recorded. So with Switcher, you can do both. So that's kind of what we saw, pre-COVID. Now during, this entire pandemic that we're in, we're seeing churches really start to leverage our video chat component. And video chat basically allows a remote producer the ability to send a link to somebody, bring that person in. So, your producer at your church, whoever is volunteering to do that, or if you have one on staff, that person is basically sitting at their home with their production device, so iPad or an iPhone, bringing in the pastor or pastors remotely and producing that stream and having that basically being piped out to Facebook or YouTube or their own website in some cases, depending upon what CMS platform they're using. So we're seeing kind of an adaptation from what it was pre-COVID to now. But that's what's so great about our solution is you don't have to sign up for a new one to be able to go back and forth. It's we allow you to do both with the same subscription.
Yeah. So it's pretty incredible. So I want people to understand that. So I could be sitting in multiple houses, and I don't have to be on the Wi-Fi. I can have one central producer person, and I can have a feed from my pastor from his house, a feed from the worship team at another house, etc. And it all comes in to my central iPad, and I can basically produce the show from one location, correct?
Correct. Yeah, so it's going to pull in the audio and video from those remote sources. So depending upon the subscription level that you have with us, we have 3 different subscription levels. You can have 1, 2, or up to 4 remote video chat guests, if you will, at a single time. So, basically that's how those would work. And yes, you're 100% right. You basically would be acting as the producer, Carl, sitting in your home, and you could send your pastor a link. They could be sitting in front of their computer, on their phone, maybe outside or, whatever, wherever they want to be, and essentially be sending that video and audio back to you. And you could be putting, the graphics on screen, scripture passages, etc., but allowing the pastor just to deliver the sermon or deliver the the message.
All right, let's walk through. That's pretty incredible. I don't want people to miss that we can actually produce a show remotely with multiple people. So I think what I've seen a lot of churches do is either go to the church and do a live stream there, or go to the church and pre-record their service. And simulate that live. So or they go to someone's house and record the message or record worship. But this is a way that we can be in multiple houses and produce it from one location. So kind of bringing in multiple sources. So it's really cool. All right, so let's walk through some of the features. So tell me about how I can stream from different camera angles. I know we've touched on this, but let's say if I'm in a church setting, maybe we're back from COVID and we're back in our churches, or in the scenario that we just put forth, how do I stream from different camera angles? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So with Switcher in a traditional setup, you have like I mentioned before, the ability to connect up to 9 devices to a central network and have those devices submit, basically their video feed back to your switcher. So in my practical setup, what I have actually sitting here on my desk in front of me, I have an iPad Pro, which I use for my production switcher. So I will basically, first and foremost, I'll connect my iPad Pro to my network. Then on my iPhone 8, iPhone 6 that I have, I will connect those same devices to that same network and open switcher on all 3 devices. When I do that, the devices become discoverable to where I can actually take control of those remote devices and pull in the video feeds from those phones.
Or
which
laptops,
basically
right?
are just,
I can use a laptop as a source.
yeah, absolutely. You can use a laptop, so you can use Mac OS or PC running Windows 10 as a source, which is something that a lot of churches are excited about, being able to bring in their slides and as part of their live stream as well. So with that, you can have up to 9 of those devices sending their transmitting their feed. So whether that's a camera feed or basically the desktop or the output of the computer back to the iPad. And then on the iPad, it becomes your switcher, your production hub. So you have all of those feeds there that you can choose between. And it's as simple as basically tapping on the thumbnail of each one of those different inputs to put it on screen live, or to put multiple inputs on screen live, put in the graphic overlays. It's something that if you get your hands on it, touch it, see it, it definitely helps to illustrate exactly what's possible. We do offer a free 14-day trial for all of this. So if you're, interested in checking it out, that's something you can do, play around with it, really kind of get a, familiarity of how it works. But you as the producer, then you get to dictate what's being seen by the public. So you're basically saying, I want the producer to see, or I want the public to see the pastor now, or I want the public to see a slide now, or I want the public to see the pastor and a slide. You can put them both on screen at the same time. We have a couple different multi-views to choose from, like picture in picture or side by side view. So there's a variety of different ways to do that.
Tell me about your graphics and overlays. Can I make those inside Switcher Studio, or do I need to pre-make those and bring them in?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have templates that are available, lower third templates to be able to put like names and titles on screen. We do have some other full screen text overlays that you can use as well to do that. So you basically would have the opportunity to, to create those in the app, or if you had your own that you wanted to create and bring those in, like through Canva or Photoshop or anything like that, you can bring those in as well as JPEGs or transparent PNG images.
Tell me about pre-recorded video. So I have a video I want to play. Is it through a laptop as a source, and I'm playing that through a ProPresenter or something like that? Or how do I load pre-recorded content?
So you can do it that way. That's a possibility for sure. But you can actually just import a video directly into your device. You're using a switcher. So like for me, I've got my iPad that I use as my production switcher. So if I have a video, like let's say that I wanted to run as a bumper, before the service starts, something like that, in order to play it, I simply have to tap on the video and it immediately starts playing on the live output window.
Does that take one of my 9 inputs, or is that separate?
That's separate. 9 inputs is basically just cameras or computers. You can have as many assets as you want. So an asset would be an image, a pre-recorded video, logo, lower third, etc. The only limitation you have on that is the amount of storage that device has.
What has to be connected to Wi-Fi, and what can I bring in that doesn't require Wi-Fi?
If you're in a church setting, so within the 4 walls of your church, basically any camera that you want to bring in that's an iOS device, you'd want to have it connected to that same network. You could still use video chat within that setup and have that device, that video chat device, whether that's an iPhone, an Android, whatever device that you're using that would have an internet connection and a video, input. So a built-in camera and audio input. You could use like a data connection or LTE to bring in that device. But mostly what we do and what we recommend is anytime you can get a device connected to a network, to do that through Wi-Fi. With Switcher, you can actually even hardwire the devices, but it introduces challenges with having adapters for each device. It just is much more costly. So we don't offer that right out of the gate. It's not like, hey, go hardwire your devices, because with Switcher, our whole thing is it's very agile, and something that is, you can literally pack this up in a backpack and, go from the four walls of your church to, a park to, a missions trip. And, you can do this from anywhere, which is, what we what Switcher is all about.
Yeah, tell me about that. So is this meant to be a permanent solution? Are you guys really focused on the mobile aspect of this, or kind of give me the end game?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, we're always going to be 100% focused on the mobile nature of what we do. There are a lot of other platforms out there that will allow you to use a desktop as your production hub, OBS and Wirecast and StreamYard and all of these different things, right? With Switcher, we allow you to bring in a desktop as an input, but our whole focus is on being super mobile with a production. So it doesn't mean it can't be in a studio setup and be locked down and all of your devices on tripods or mounts, and staying there. It doesn't mean it can't do that, but with that same thought, same vein, it'd be really easy to snap those devices out of those mounts, throw them in a backpack, and go. I've gone and done productions in New York. I live in Seattle, so I've flown across the country with a 5-camera setup, and it fits in a backpack in a small little Pelican case. And so literally I just roll it on the plane, throw it in the overhead bin, I roll off. There's no like crates and crates of gear that I'm packing. And I take my own Wi-Fi with me wherever I go. It's a simple little Netgear hotspot that runs off of an AT&T SIM card. I have unlimited data, so I don't have to worry about going somewhere and not having good network connectivity. Once again, it's a 4x4 little piece of equipment. Throw that in my backpack, and I can go anywhere and do anything with this.
What if I'm in a church setting or in a setting the Wi-Fi is unreliable?
Yeah, so we have the ability for you to dial back your resolution on your production as well, which will help with the requirements for upload speeds. I know prior to us jumping on this, you asked me about 720 versus 1080.
Yeah.
So we do offer 1080p streaming now. It's something you have to enable on your account. And we basically have a disclaimer that says this requires much faster internet. If you're okay with that, go ahead and toggle this on. In that same breath, you can dial it all the way back to 270. Not that that's going to be anything that's pleasing to the eye,
right.
But if you don't have good network, you can still get a stream out. I think with something like 540, you can get by with less than 2 megabits per second of upload speed. So awesome. It can be done.
What is it compatible with? Is it only iOS? Tell me compatibility.
Yeah, absolutely. So one device, the master device, has to be iOS. So in order to use Switcher, you have to have at least one iOS device, and that has to be an iOS device that's compatible with the newest version of iOS. So that is now iOS 13. So any device that will run iOS 13, you can use as your Switcher. So that could be an iPad, that could be an iPhone, that could be an iPod Touch. iPod Touches have cameras built in. You can actually use those as a Switcher input as well. So you have to have at least one of those. Provided you have one of those, you can get started with Switcher. You can do a single camera broadcast, and then as you get access to more devices, you can level up and go to 9, and it doesn't have to be, something that you pay extra for. When you subscribe, it's 1 device up to 9 devices, and you never have to pay anything extra for it. As far as the app, you can only install Switcher Studio on an iOS device. So in a church type of setting, the only way to use devices connected over the same network is to have an iOS device. So once again, iPad, iPhone, or iPod running the Switcher Studio app. To use video chat, it does open up more possibilities. So you can use Android, PC, Mac, anything like that. We've seen people that have actually connected DSLRs or kind of production type cameras to a computer, use the camera like from the back of the sanctuary, but then connected their computer to Switcher and use their computer basically as the display or the viewfinder for the camera, and then that is being transmitted back to their Switcher. So we've seen people get really, really creative with this solution.
So I can't, it has to be an iPad or iPhone is my kind of base device to do the switching, right? There's no desktop application currently.
There's no desktop application currently to use your computer as a switcher. The switcher, the kind of the hub, your production hub has to be either an iPad or an iPhone.
Is there a reason for that? I mean, I know that you guys are really focused on mobile, but if I'm a church that this is by the way, I want you to tell me your pricing too, because this compares to, if I'm going to buy a $40,000, $50,000 switcher, I can get you guys for much more affordable. But I want to walk through some of the advantages, disadvantages. So a disadvantage would be, well, it's not permanent and it's not on a laptop. I have to use a iPad and I have to have fairly reliable internet for me to use it. Correct?
Yeah, I would say that's fair. Fairly reliable internet for sure. It's not available on a computer. It probably will never be available on a computer. I say that, with a grain of salt or caveat, things could change, right? I mean, someone could hand us a bag of money tomorrow and say, we want this on a computer. And if it's, meaningful enough, we probably would do it. But as of right now, our whole thing is we are really, really focused on the ability for people to go anywhere and do anything and create, great professional video regardless of their physical location. As far as our pricing is concerned, we are a SaaS-based subscription model. So there's no hardware to buy with Switcher. So it's not like you have to go out and buy anything to get started. You have an iPhone, you can subscribe on our website. It's anywhere from about $39 a month to $350 a month. We have 3 different packages. They're $39, $75, and $350. So you can check out our website for all of the details in regards to kind of what that gives you. All of the subscription plans come with the ability to connect up to 9 cameras. So that doesn't change from the most basic to the most advanced. The differences are with the video chat connection. So the ability to pull in remote sources. We also have introduced a solution for storing assets. So it's Switcher Cloud. So being able to upload like your graphics and logos and photos to the cloud and being able to pull those down to any device, regardless of where you're at. Gotcha. So those are kind of the main differences in regards to kind of what requires additional pricing.
Cool. Do you guys have an alpha or a Chroma Key concept in the works at all?
We don't currently have that in the works right now. It's such a hard question to answer because we want to offer it, but we want it to be perfect when we offer it. And there's just so many, challenges with doing that. I know like Zoom, and other things offer the ability to change the background. That might be something we end up doing with video chat because it's actually pulling in just a camera from a URL. So it would be pretty easy to implement. But like, as far as the ability to do like true green screen, Chroma Key type stuff, from a production. We're probably not going to build that into the app. We've seen people use the third-party app to do that with decent success, but it's not something that we probably are going to build. We'll continue to tweak different things that give our customers better graphical features directly in the app, but it's all going to be natural backgrounds.
I'm thinking too, in a church setting, if I want to do lyric overlays, like with an NDI input or siphon or something like that, what is the best way if I'm in a church setting to bring in overlay lyrics, like in the lower third?
Yeah, so I know a lot of churches use ProPresenter as a solution.
Laptop as a source.
Yeah, a laptop as a source, or building those like in Canva or Photoshop as.
And I can overlay that on top of the camera shot.
Yep.
Okay, so I can already do that. Tell me how that works.
Yeah, so with Switcher, when you import any graphics or images, you can import it as a graphic or an image overlay. So if that's a transparent PNG image, you can actually import it that way. With Switcher, you can resize it directly in the app just by using the pinch to zoom functionality, reposition it by dragging it around, put it wherever you want to on screen, and then it becomes an asset in your sources list down the left-hand side, like from a run of show perspective.
But
so you just tap to turn it on.
It has to be a PNG though, so I would have to like export PNGs of my lyrics, or can I pull it in as a live source?
If you wanted to bring it directly into Switcher, that's how you'd have to do it. If you wanted it as a live source, it would have to be something like a screen share, type overlay that you would use.
Gotcha. So maybe, I guess the solution would be full screen lyrics, or like I can't take a ProPresenter as a feed, as a source, and overlay lower third lyrics on top of my camera shot.
Not currently. That's correct.
Gotcha.
You'd have to set up a multi-view where, that basically would be, kind of a compressed multi-view at the bottom. So we've seen people do that.
Right. I could mask out the top or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Tell me, it also can record ISO or isolated. It doesn't have to be live. I can record the feed and then take that later and edit it. Right. So I can do a shoot, or even pre-record my entire worship experience, let's just say. And everybody does their thing, and it's ISOing the cameras. It's recording them separately to where I can take each individual video file from my 9 feeds and bring them in and edit them later, correct?
Correct. Absolutely. So with Switcher, when you stream and or record, you have the ability, as long as those devices are connected on the same network and they're running the Switcher Studio app, you can trigger an ISO recording of each one of those devices. And Switcher will basically trigger a full recording on the remote camera. It will record both the audio and the video for those. So if you have 9 devices, you're essentially, when you're done recording, you'll have 9 different angles plus the program or the line out, depending upon how you refer to it, the produced feed, where you'll be able to export that. We see people export that into, Adobe Premiere. We have a direct integration with Final Cut that you can export that directly to. We also have a solution within Switcher that's called Director Mode. And basically what Director Mode allows you to do is, we touched on briefly the challenges with the network speed at some places. With Switcher, if you use Director Mode, you can stream out at a lower quality, so 540, but you can actually record locally in up to 4K, that same stream. So using Director Mode, it pulls in a full 4K recording from each camera. After the fact, rebuilds the entire broadcast with all of your transitions and, cuts and overlays. And basically has a very, super clean 4K version of what you just streamed out at 540.
Awesome. Well, man, as we wrap today, tell me how people are implementing. I know we talked about church settings a little bit, but maybe how you guys are a solution for small churches and large churches. So, for instance, I see you guys in a small church setting, maybe being a solution for my building, being a more budget affordable option for both my building experience in the physical location and mobile, and a solution for large churches that want to do remotes and more mobile, shoots and things like that. Would that be accurate, or how are you seeing churches use the product?
Yeah, you're 100% spot on. Are you available, to come sell Switcher, Carl? Because that's exactly how we position it. From a church perspective, we really feel like, from the research that we've done and everything we've looked at, the vast majority of churches across the U.S. are, small to, medium-sized churches. They're less than, probably 1,000, people on average. And we really feel like we could be a solution for each of those in a building type of implementation, with not a lot of capital outlaid, and we can obviously provide some best use cases for gear, tripods, audio stuff, etc. From a super church, from a mega church perspective, a lot of those churches, and I've worked in them before, they have, the professional cameras that are set up on tripods, on risers. You've got your camera operators. I, operated one when I was working there. And we're probably not going to come in and replace that system. It might be an opportunity when it ultimately gets too old and they're looking for something else. But for the large churches, where I think we can really, kind of come in and add value is giving the pastors, anyone else at that church that's, looking to create content, the ability to do that and, do it from their home, or, the pastor has it installed on his phone and he's like, I'm going to go live to our Facebook page or our YouTube page or our church site today. Because, there's something that's on my heart that I want to share, boom, he fires up his phone, sitting at his desk, maybe at his house or at a coffee shop. And he's able to brand that video with his own, the church logo, maybe, share an actual message or a scripture passage, put it on screen, and still be able to have that professional production without going and standing on stage and doing, the normal kind of sermon. So that's where I think we can really kind of add value for those larger churches.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, man, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Tell us how we can go get Switcher Studio, how we can find you guys.
Yeah. So switcherstudio.com is our website. You can go there and sign up for a subscription. As I said, we have a free 14-day trial. And actually right now, we do have a nonprofit discount. So any churches would clearly fall under that, where you're able to currently get a discount on that. And you can go sign up for that. You can check us out at switcherstudio.com/worship as well. We've got a worship landing page that really kind of talks about how churches are using this. We have a ebook that we had written, talking about live streaming for your church that you can check out as well. So you can also find us on all the social media platforms at Switcher Studio, and check us out there as well.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, thanks so much for your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Hey everybody, Andy and Sandra here with a quick update. As you've heard by now, this weekend you can get your hair cut, you can get your nails done, and you can finally get that tattoo. But what you can't do is come back to church, at least not any of our churches. As you know, our church model, it is not conducive to social distancing.
That's right. And we don't want to reopen until Upstreet feels like Upstreet, Transit feels like Transit.
And Inside Out feels like Inside Out.
That's right. And we really want you to feel comfortable bringing your babies back to church too.
Yeah, so that'll...
And speaking of babies, I told Andy, with all this sheltering in place business, there is going to be a baby boom come Christmas.
You don't know that.
Oh, yes, I do. Back in the day, if we had been quarantined this long, we...
The show notes for this episode are available now at makingsundayhappen.com.
You guys might have seen that video on Facebook. That was Andy and Sandra Stanley from North Point Community Church. They made me laugh so hard with their videos online, so I thought I'd share that with you. They've mixed humor and updates perfectly. just to show you some ways that you can communicate to your church in a really fun way like they have. Plus, we need a laugh right now, guys. Let's be honest about it. It's great to have a laugh every now and then. As I leave you today, I want to let you know about a couple of new resources that we've put together. The first is the Zoom Guide for Churches. Now, this is an in-depth handbook about the Zoom application for churches. It includes everything from setup and sign in, how to join meetings, how to schedule meetings, a bunch of advanced tips, and more. It's only $5 on our website, 1230.media/Zoom Guide, 1230.media/Zoom Guide. It's only $5 again. Be sure to check that out. Might be a great resource for you as you're doing small groups or Bible studies or other hangouts online. Really gives you not just the basics, it gives you how you can use it at your church and a bunch of different fun ideas. So 1230.media/Zoom Guide. All right, second, if you've been seeing those awesome virtual choir videos and wondering how to record and produce one of those, you can download our virtual choir guide at 1230.media/virtual choir. Now, this one's completely free, and it will walk you through a step-by-step process of how to record and produce a virtual choir video. So what you need to send to your choir, what kind of instructions to give them, encouragement to give them, how to use two devices, one to record, one to play back, all that kind of stuff. It's completely free, 1230.media/virtual choir. All right, guys, well, it is our prayer that we produce media and resources that will help you transform the worship experiences at your church. We are not the experts. We don't claim to have all the answers. We are just trying to provide resources to help you week in and week out. You are the hero. You are on the front lines. You are doing it week in, week out. If you're a communications director, if you're a tech leader, a pastor, you are on the front lines each week. So if you don't hear it from anyone, thank you for what you're doing. You are making an impact in the kingdom. So keep it up. You're doing a great job. We're behind you. If we can do anything for you, we love you guys. We're here. You can email me, Carl at 1230.media. That's all spelled out. Carl at the word 12, the word 30, all spelled out .media. Well, thank you guys for listening and watching. Go out there and create some incredible worship experiences this weekend. I'll catch you next week.
Making Sunday Happen is a production of the ministry of 1230 Media. For show notes, archive episodes, and more free resources for your church, visit MakingSundayHappen.com.